Hi, Reverend Paula Zabkar here with Spiritual Soul Center. Renee and I are going on a little family vacation this week, so I just have a short message for you today. Nothing too complicated, but as always, it's something that was brought to my attention actually from Debbie Creasy. Sent me a story, an opinion piece that was published in the Washington Post. So that's where I'm going to start today. But for a moment, let's just pause. Let's just pause and be still and take a deep breath and get ourselves into the receiving mode, into receiving this, whatever this wisdom is for you, to just take a moment and prepare the heart and the mind to receive. Breathing in and breathing out. So there we are. It's always good to check in with how your body is, your mind and your heart when we are ready to receive, to be ready to receive. And Debbie sends me things every once in a while. She shares some great poetry, but this story is one I want to read to you right off the bat. Let me start this way. The author's name is Julie Cohen. Moments after I emerged onto Interstate 70 northwest of St. Louis, heavy traffic began. It's 1 p.m. on a Wednesday, I thought, immediately annoyed. How can this be? I assumed there had been an accident and the backup was from all the rubbernecking. Usually I avoid I-70 for just such reasons. But my son was homesick with a cough and I had an errand to run in St. Charles, a city adjacent to St. Louis. Then, as traffic crept along, my 4-year-old son in a car seat behind me, I noticed that there were several cars scattered along the shoulder of the road, with their drivers standing beside them. My annoyance turned to anger. Another protest. For the past few weeks, some St. Charles parents have been staging protests against mask policies in the public schools, outraged that their children should possibly have to protect themselves and their teachers during a pandemic. St. Charles County can feel like a foreign territory to many in St. Louis. In the 2020 election, Joe Biden took St. Louis City with 82.3% of the vote, and St. Louis County with 61.2%. But Donald Trump won in St. Charles County with 57.8%. Lately, I had been infuriated by news coming out of St. Charles about its residents' views on vaccines, masks, and teaching critical race theory. "Look at all the flags," my son shouted. Some of the people by their cars were holding American flags. There seemed to be more people than cars, lots more, the farther we drove. I assumed that an elementary school that had prompted the mass protest must be coming up soon. The flags made me mad. Or seeing how they were used did. As an Air Force spouse and an Army kid, I loved the flag and all that it represented. But in the past few years, it felt as if both the flag and the idea of patriotism had been co-opted by people whose views I disagreed with. With the pandemic, using the flag to rally support for not wearing masks or getting vaccinated felt to me like a selfish, inane misinterpretation of what freedom truly means. As the car rolled along, I darted glances over at the people on the shoulder, hoping to confirm my suspicions. It was a strange kind of protest. Nobody was yelling or chanting, nobody holding up signs, no end mask mandate or end the child abuse, or the most offensive of all, misappropriating the words of George Floyd and others, "I can't breathe." Then I finally spotted a sign. Aha, I thought, here it is. Semper Fi, it read. Always faithful, the motto of the Marines. And then I got it. Finally. This wasn't a protest at all. I'd heard about the plan and forgotten. People were lining the highway to honor Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz, one of the 13 service members killed in the August 26th terrorist attacks at the Kabul airport. "Look, a fire truck!" my son shouted with delight. "You're right, sweetie." Now I was crying. Of all the times to drive I-70, the roadway I prefer to avoid, it had been during the 30-minute window when Jared's body was being driven from St. Louis Lambert International Airport to the funeral home in St. Charles. For 12 whole miles, thousands of people had lined the interstate to bring Jared home. Jared, a boy just shy of his 21st birthday. I'm a school teacher. He could have been my student only 3 years earlier. My anger had blinded me. My unwillingness to think anything good could ever come from a crowd of people in St. Charles. My unwillingness to think that we could have something in common beyond mutual distrust. At the next exit, I pulled over on the shoulder of the access road. "Where are we going?" my son asked. I clicked him out of his car seat, picked him up, and said, "We're going to stand with the other people." Do you recognize this? Do you recognize this experience that Julie writes about? You know, the first thing that hit me, really, as I read the end, is how important the practice of humility is. How important it is to be humble. That is like paramount. We never really know what's going on. Even when we read about it in the paper, we really don't know what's going on. And humility rather than judgment straight away. Another thing this teaches me, and it teaches you, I'm sure, more than I might offer here, and I encourage you to listen to the story again and see what that is for you. But what it brings to mind for me is the importance of self-awareness. The importance of self-awareness. You know, Julie didn't have to write about this in an op-ed piece in the Washington Post. You know, that humility is much grander than maybe you and I would ever consider. But that self-awareness piece is so critical all the time. We don't have to write a piece for the Washington Post. But I think if we want to be an integral and uplifting and committed part of the human race, that we are called to be self-aware. Self-aware. How am I reacting to this? What am I bringing to this? What is that about? You know, she assumed several things in here. See, I assumed this and I assumed that. Is it ever the best idea? And to check in with our own willingness. What am I willing to consider? I've spoken before about the importance of curiosity rather than making up a story with little facts and deciding it's true. I mean, that's what happened here. I've done it. I've got to say, you've probably done it too. If we are in human form, we've done it before. We've done it before. You know, I think it points to, she talks about how we think we don't have anything in common with people who simply disagree with something that we believe. But it's not true. You know, what do we all really want? We want to be loved and cared for. We want to be heard and seen. We want to be treated with respect and dignity. Right? That is universal. We want to have enough to eat. We want people to recognize us for our love that we bring. Isn't that true? Look at all these people lining this highway for Jared. Barely able to start his life and to be taken in such a horrible manner. That's the truth of people. Showing up like that, that's the real truth. Nobody really had to think about that. Those people who showed up along the highway, they didn't think about that. They were thinking about how to honor a life. Every life deserves to be honored, to be treated, we all, to be treated with respect and dignity. So this week, I encourage you to take some time to become aware of how you are in the world, your decision, the stories you make up, the stories I make up, to increase my self-awareness, to do that, to take some time and to really, in every decision and every thought and in all of our ways of being, to become really aware, to let this story from Julie and her experience and how we can see ourselves in her experience, to let that enrich us, to let someone else's self-awareness give us the encouragement and the inspiration to do the exact same thing. Yeah, let's do that. So thank you for taking a few minutes to listen. We'll be back next week with a full Sunday lesson on the YouTube channel here. Know that Renee and I both appreciate all of your love and support, and thank you. Until next time, amen.